Did Mr. Pete sign in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
I'm not seeing him. Do we have anybody from the public attending?
We do not.
Okay, then we'll go to approving the minutes from the April meeting. Everybody had a chance to look them over. I looked them over. I thought they were superb as they have been.
Superb.
Superb.
Well, thank you.
Your second. I can't second.
Read them. Motion to approve the minutes as is then.
Second, I read them, but I wasn't there. So
That's why I didn't read them.
I motion that the minutes were right.
you can't yet. Trying to jump in already.
You gotta jump right in. And then update on the capital tree planting program, Paul?
Okay, the tree planting program is moving along pretty well. We've kind of exceeded the goal we've had. I said we'd try and get 200 trees done. To date, we've either planted or ordered 217 trees.
Wow.
And I probably got another 15 to 20 to go possibly. So we'll probably be close to 230, 240 trees for the spring cycle. And basically the ones that are listed on the agenda, we've done just a quick rundown. The 31 at Rudner Court. We did one over at Arbor Day at Norwalk Community College. We did the 24 trees along West Cedar Street, the slender silhouette sweet gums. That 1st through 4th Street area, after all of the sidewalks, paving and everything was done now, we've gone back and we were able to get 43 trees in that area. Soundview and Cliff was another 17. East Avenue, we had 3 for the Earth Day event that we did up on the green, sugar maples, and then down at number 150 to 152, it's on the west side of East Avenue, diagonal across the street from City Hall. We were able to get 3 more in also there. The Gregory Boulevard, Ludlow Manor area, we ordered 7 trees for that area. Woodchuck Lane, Woodchuck Court area, that's another section where we've done the paving, the curbs and the sidewalks. And as the final bow on top or icing on the cake, we went and put trees in. Both Vanessa, the chief of operations and public works, as well as Tom Livingston asked us to see if we could get trees in that area. So that whole Woodchuck Lane, Woodchuck Court, and then Woodchuck Court Extension, we were able to get 78 trees we've ordered
Wow.
for that area. There's some other locations, some down at Merrill Road, we had 4 there. We had Hillendale Manor was 3, and then we had the Arbor Day ceremony is 3. We've got another group of small requests, the one-off requests that we can do, as well as a couple more of the housing authority complexes that are online for right now too. So as it looks right now, we should be 220 to 230 trees for the spring planting.
Great.
Have the contractors indicated when they want to stop the spring planting? Are they shooting for? And
Not yet, but I've told them basically we're going to be in contact almost daily to determine when that date will be, so that the last orders can be placed basically 2 weeks before they want to plant.
Okay,
So I'm thinking end of the month is probably going to be the cutoff so that everything's in the ground by June 15th.
yep, that sounds right. Good. Which leads up to the next item, the update on the watering maintenance from both Olmsted and Minuteman.
Homestead has continued doing their watering in a variety of areas for some stuff that was from last year, as well as what's been planted this year. And some of the ones have been done over at the school, the West Cedar Street and also Norwalk Community College. They've been done a couple of times already. And then also I've received the 2 reports for the months of April and May from Minutemen, and they've been doing work for what they've planted thus far, as well as some of the ones from last year.
Good.
And I've got one other thing under other business that I want to talk to you and just show you is about that Minutemen has sent me something that was some interest related to watering.
You're gonna put it up on the screen?
I will, yeah. And when we get to other business, I'll do it under other business.
Okay. I might know what it is, but I'll let you present it. Then we got the update on the Arbor Day event. The cleanup event, that's me.
That's
So
you.
we did Gay, we've been doing the Arbor Day cleanup events. Kind of like we were doing prior to starting the tree festival. So I don't know if we're going back that route, but we did another one this year over at the bike trail. Myself, Peter and Paul went and pre-walked the site, and we had a bunch of companies come in and volunteer and do cleanup along the bike trail behind the old YMCA and the corner of what is that's Connecticut Avenue right there.
Yeah,
correct?
It's Connecticut Avenue where it runs into the intersection of West Avenue,
At
all the way
Heritage-
to Union Park.
at the Heritage Wall, across from Matthews Mansion.
Okay, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Nice. So you've been doing this
We
every
cleaned
year?
up 3 of the corners of the wall, not the Heritage Wall side, because that's already well maintained and pretty well groomed, and the other 3 were pretty ratty looking. So we cleaned up a bunch of that, and then we went down the bike trail towards Union Park behind the old YMCA and cleaned up a bunch of stuff. We was well attended. I think we had, I don't know, 9 or 10 trucks and crews there, and then we had a nice pizza lunch in the old YMCA parking lot. The mayor came and thanked everybody. We had a little get together when we were having our pizza. It was good weather. We didn't get rained out. It wasn't like a community event because it was commercial tree companies doing the work, so we didn't want people there, but it worked out very well because of 2 things. We didn't have to deal with traffic, and there's no overhead wires there, so we kind of had free reign of that. Paul got permission for us to work on kind of like a little bit of the state property where it abuts the Route 7 connector, and it looks good. And I think the next step is we go back in and plant some trees. Peter's gonna do a plan for us to put something in there for those corners, I hope.
We also had the first council chair, correct?
Yes, we had a couple of people there. Common Council President Burnett came out. There was the lady that's now the head of the NRVT. She had sent thank yous. And I just want to mention too that Common Council President Burnett on the 9th of May at the Common Council meeting under the president's remarks, thanked each one of the tree companies specifically and read out their names with Hutchinson, Olmsted, Lewis, Bartlett, Orchard, and then the DPW tree team too, which was nice of him to thank everybody for doing that. At first, he didn't realize that they were doing this all volunteer and free of charge to the city. And when he heard about that, he said he wanted to thank them at the council meeting personally, so they got credit for it. So that was good. And yeah, it would be really nice to try and turn, and I talked with the mayor a little bit about this too at the event, to turn those corners into gateways to the mansion area, and therefore the planting plan that once we've got that finished up and all cleaned out, then we can put and replant that area and put plantings in there to try and make it look a little more like the wall area does versus what it looks like now. And then the other thing is the rest of the trail, because with all of the work that we had done, there's still far more to be done. And then also up at New Canaan Avenue next year. So we could probably do this for the next couple of years.
Do you think we could come up with another holiday to continue this? And aside from Arbor Day, Earth Day, et cetera, maybe something else a little bit later on in the summertime, instead of only that once a year? I mean, I remember we did with the Arbor Day with the celebration with the schools and everything else, but do you think maybe we can come up with a way to add a little bit more since there's so much work to be done? What do you think?
We'd have to look at it. That's definitely an option now.
Okay.
Definitely an option. We'd have to just pick what would be the best time, because the whole point of this was to stress the other side of Arbor Day and what is related to the urban forestry management practices of not just planting trees, but also maintaining the forest. And
Right.
when Rich had this idea, it was a great idea.
That's a great idea.
The bigger picture of managing these landscapes is the one that's usually missing. You know, the state of Connecticut really does not manage their road rights of way. The NRVT, they have objectives that are not necessarily forest management. So the segment of the Norwalk River Valley Trail through Norwalk is actually a real important segment, because the way that this team started looking at managing the vegetation is something that we can absolutely build on, Gay. And perhaps it's not just volunteer, it's not just the commercial groups, because it may be very difficult to get the tree companies out here more than once a year, Rich. I mean, it's a day they've lost at some level. But if there's a bigger objective, volunteer groups work in the same direction through multiple facets, if you will, different organizations like the Norwalk Tree Alliance and the NRVT Trail people. If we all have the same objectives, we can get a lot done.
Yeah, it'd be good to break it up. I think I looked at with Paul some of the other sections of the trail, and I think I walked it with you, Peter, a while ago, along the New Canaan Avenue. And there's a lot of lower, less skilled work that could be done by groups, and then like the higher canopy stuff where you might need the bucket trucks and stuff. So that could be phased into, to answer your question, Gay, more than once a year. We
Right.
deliberately did it a couple of days prior to Arbor Day to avoid taking attention away from other Arbor Day events, like at the college or at the school and stuff.
Okay,
So we went, I don't know, over 2 days ahead of Arbor Day specifically for that, but there could be another one later in the year where actually the volunteer groups could do some of the groundwork and cutting vines, and then the tree companies have to get up higher and untwine
Right.
the canopies and free up a lot of the trees, especially along the river on New Canaan Avenue.
And
That
we
was
certainly-
kind of like non-maintained growth, and then they put the bike trail in, and now it's like non-managed woodland, but it could look a lot nicer.
right.
But we have plenty of groups that want to plant native materials. This is the perfect place to plant these kind of things.
Yeah. Great
Yeah.
spots.
And that's the other thing. There is a grant that was done for the area for the NRVT to do some plantings, and that was planned on coming after this work was done in the area. So that's to come too. So that's another thing that could be an event, is the planting event as well.
Okay,
Yeah, and if we do future work along New Canaan Avenue, it's kind of like the similar thing of that trail is wide enough to accommodate the trucks. And we don't have to worry about the traffic control. We don't have to worry about the wire. We got to worry about the wires a little bit because they're along the edge of the road, that the tree companies don't stick the knuckle of the bucket trucks into the wires, but they're pretty smart to avoid that.
okay.
And it worked out very well. It was well attended. And like you said, it was nice of Common Council President Burnett to thank all of the tree companies at the council meeting too.
Yeah, it's great of them. Tell them we said thank you very much for the acknowledgement. So that was the cleanup event. Then we had the Arbor Day at Rowayton Elementary School.
And that went very well. Surprisingly, there were a lot of the parents that did come to it. Principal Cummings had the event, and we had to make a call at last minute. We ended up moving the event into the gymnasium, and we did something unusual this year that we've never done at any other Arbor Day event. When it was inside, we actually had Minutemen bring a tree into the gymnasium and set it down. So even though there was no planting outside for all of the kids to attend because of the weather, they got to see a live tree in the root ball in the gymnasium set up for them for the Arbor Day event.
Wow, that's clever.
Do you still give out little seedlings and,
We did, Eversource donated those to the
Eversource?
city. And Eversource actually bagged all of those and donated them. And what we ended up doing is giving those out. And because first we weren't going to do those, we were strictly going to go with an idea that Chairperson Kip had related to giving out books.
okay,
And we were able to get the Norwalk Tree Alliance to pay for the books. And what the principal said she wanted to do is, rather than have books for every one of the kids, which would get very expensive, she'd like to see if we could have an age appropriate book for each one of the classrooms.
okay,
So we were able to donate 26 books that the Tree Alliance paid for.
Mhm.
And then Eversource donated all of the seedlings, and Principal Cummings had said that the kids really look forward to the seedlings, so she had asked if we could still do them, and at that point, we said yes, if there were, Eversource was willing to do it, which they were part of the planning team, we went ahead, so they got books and seedlings to take home.
That's pretty good. And what kind of seedlings did you get? Indigenous or just what they?
There was a variety of different ones, and they were all native seedlings that were compatible with utility lines.
Of course.
So there was a little theme to that too. There were several speakers that went very well. And then at the end, we were able to go out and plant the tree. So instead of getting 2 trees, one from Olmsted and one from Minutemen, they ended up actually getting 3 trees because of the one that was brought in for the gymnasium.
Oh, good deal.
Got a bonus tree, nice.
Bonus. Nice.
That worked out well, good. All right, then we'll go on to the other business. Paul, you said you had something from Minuteman?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up and share the screen with you to show you and see and make you guys aware of something that they had sent me related to tree hydration maps. So I'm going to share the screen. Hopefully you guys can see this. And Lisa Grant had sent this to me, and it's basically the tree hydration maps were constructed using the layer of the silt fence on top and agricultural grade polymer, inside drainage fabric at the bottom layer, sewn together with UV resistant polyester treated. Each set of the 2 halves is first activated by immersing into water for at least 5 hours, carefully handled and placed on top of the soil around the base of the tree. Mulch is then placed on top, and should there be too much rain, the excess water is absorbed back into the mat, AKA a tree diaper in the industry. And I found them to be not as unsightly as gator bags, and they're great in places that lack of irrigation and other layer of protection in addition to the watering. So this is up at Ponus Ridge Middle School, where we planted these trees in the fall, and Minutemen planted them and used this type of technology that they were talking about. And these are the bags when they were put together. Now, I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention and see what your thoughts were. Peter and Rich?
Immediately, I think visually it looks better than the gator bags. But does it work as well? And only, I guess, Rich and Peter would know
That's
that.
kind of why I'm bringing it to the committee's attention. I just wanted to see what you thought about it.
I mean, the AgriSoak product is usually mixed with soil. Then it absorbs excess moisture that the soil doesn't absorb, and then it releases it to the soil. My question is, how does it release it to the soil if it's not mixed with it? So I don't know how that's working.
What I'm gonna do, I think, is at some point, maybe have Jordan attend one of the meetings and explain it to us, because quite frankly, it does look a lot nicer. But I just want to make sure that if we're going to allow this and use this, that it is actually effective.
Right.
I like the concept. I kind of, and I actually bumped into them and I was asking some questions because I saw it and I thought it was clever. And I wanted to ask Mr. Pete about it, because I think they're using hydrogel.
Yeah, I think that's probably the product. Same thing they actually kind of use in diapers.
So it holds a ton of moisture, but I don't know if it releases it into the soil. And I know I've heard some things with hydrogel is something that holds moisture, so you can mix it into the soil. But then I've heard people say that the roots don't expand as much seeking water because the water is right near the base of the tree. And I've heard pros and cons on it either way. So I have questions. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just not sure how it works. And maybe we got to try it for a little bit and see the actual results.
So
Is there anything toxic that's being released back into the soil by any chance, breaking down? Is this stuff organic? Is it just gonna eventually, after a year or two, break down, or does it stay within the soil for years on end? I don't know.
It's not actually in the soil. They have it sewed into it's like
Like a diaper?
Yeah, they call it tree diaper.
I don't quite know how effective it is.
Does
So
it-
it's so if, and I understand it, to answer Gay's question, Rich, it's actually inside this section of like filter fabric material that's sewn together. So the
it
only
never-
thing
it
leaching
never
into the
breaks
soil
down?
is the water?
So it never breaks down?
Well, this will eventually be removed. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this will be removed from the site eventually. But when we mix it with soil, it would be in the soil in perpetuity. In theory, it would break down eventually. I don't know how long it lasts. 3 years at most, probably. And how effective it is after the first year, unknown.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I just want to make sure, to Gay's point, there's nothing going into the soil that we don't want there.
I think we see this AgriSoak used in sort of the temporary planter baskets for the summer that we see on Wall Street. I don't know that for certain, but it's the kind of material they use for annual flowers and pots and stuff because it does hold the moisture longer. So as sort of a parallel, having had a discussion this afternoon out in planting fields about temporary tree irrigation for 3 years, just having planted 5 to 6 inch caliber chinkapin oaks. We're looking at doing a temporary irrigation system with an 18-inch ring of a soaker hose on top of the root ball, followed by a secondary ring at, I think it's 36 inches around outside the root ball. The issue being hydrating soil beyond and getting tree roots outside of the root ball itself. So to Rich's point, this irrigates or provides water on top of the root ball, but it doesn't necessarily promote water going beyond into the outside soil, which is where you want to get the roots to actually grow. You want to keep the water outside the root ball so the tree roots actually seek water. And that's a key objective about irrigation. You want roots to seek water. This is also why when we water trees, we actually provide a lot of water quickly so that it goes down into the soil, so the tree roots go down into the soil to get it, versus irrigation for lawn systems, which only hydrate the first inch and a half of soil. That actually is not helpful for trees because tree roots don't go down deep.
Okay,
That's my 2 cents on irrigation of trees. This is why I'm a little bit dubious about this. Whereas the gator bags do soak the root ball and in theory maybe get outside of it because it's a volume of water. Remains to be seen how these are effective.
Yeah, and I don't know how much the gator bags go outside the root ball because the way they're designed, they zip them right to the trunk of the tree.
Right.
And typically the root ball is 24, 36 inch diameter. So that's really just going on top of the root ball. What Peter's saying is if you irrigate beyond the root ball, then you're encouraging the roots to go out beyond the root system that they came with the tree and seek out water.
Yeah, I mean, the gator bags like this are insurance about the tree root ball not drying out, but it doesn't necessarily promote root growth.
okay. Okay, maybe at some point, if he's got a minute, one of the nights of the meeting, I'd just have him come on and talk about it and explain it a little bit.
I mean, from our perspective, if we're encouraging our vendors to keep the gator bags full, they can see that. They can't see this.
No, that they can't.
This is, yeah, I did it. Well, I don't know that you did it because I don't see it. So that's something to be considered. The gator bag, I know when they're empty. You go touch them.
Yeah, and that's the reason for the report, because that's why we want them to give us the reports every month, and it's part of the contract that they have to actually do that between May and November.
That's a lot of work just to construct those. They're doing those in-house, I'm assuming.
It sounds like that, because every one of them, if you take a look over on the left where my cursor is,
Yeah,
it's got Minutemen written right on it.
I'd like to see how they release the water. I'm not sure because it's got a layer of the filter fabric.
And as long as it's good for the soil and nothing leaches into the soil, as long as the trees survive for the 2-year period and they water them, they've met the contract requirements.
if they work well, they might have come up with something quite ingenious and
That's why I just wanted you guys to see it,
Yeah.
and see what you think. And aesthetically, it does look better than the gator bags.
yeah,
And I want to talk to them about that too, because now when they go to take this out, if it's a year from now, they've got to dig out the mulch, pull it out, and then remulch the bed.
Oh, yeah, you think so?
Well, that's what they should be doing.
they seem pretty committed to doing a quality job from what I've seen and really
Yeah,
take pride in the trees they put in. And I've gone around and looked at a couple of the sites where they planted and the quality of the trees, and I know I interviewed them when we were looking at contractors. And Jordan Grant says he goes out and personally picks them. He's got beautiful quality trees he's bringing in.
I've got to say, right now, we've been very fortunate because both Olmsted and Minutemen have done a great job. And
Yeah, give
Minutemen
them a lot
has
of credit.
surprised me.
Well, I
So
mean,
we're very fortunate to have two good contractors that really care about what they're doing.
well, we were on Olmsted a while ago, so we, they were hearing us.
So I wanted to, and then the other thing is too, we want to just mention, because it's come to our attention and Gary's taken a look at it from Olmsted. I guess there's some places around town, and he's going to get together a list for me too, where people seem to be mowing over the mulch bed areas. And because of that, the mulch is all coming out and getting thrown around. And that's something we want to keep an eye on too, because eventually, if they are mowing around the areas, and these would be the property owners, some of the ones that have gone into the snow shelves to where the grass has to be mowed. Eventually, if they are doing that, we've got to be careful that they don't end up nicking the bottoms of the tree and taking the bark off like a weed eater would do.
Well, the tree guards should prevent that, I hope.
Hopefully, as long
Yeah.
as they're left there.
Yeah, they seem to hold up actually a lot longer than the 2-year warranty. I think sometimes they got to be removed. I've seen them on like some large diameter trees where they almost get pushed off after a while, you know?
Yeah, I've seen them on some trees we planted 5 or 6 years ago at least.
Yeah,
That's about time. So maybe, so Paul, maybe it's a public works thing when at a certain point, you guys are out there in the field, just got to pull them off.
All right, my question for you is what would we feel comfortable? Because I have the dates that all of the trees are planted. I could check, and at we get to a 4th or a 5th year, we can give the list of the 5-year ones, whatever year we think, to operations, and we could have them go around to the addresses and pull them off.
I mean,
What do you feel comfortable with where if somebody does hit it, it's not going to kill the tree?
Well, when the tree gets big enough, it's starting to push on these things anyway. When they start to get 8-inch caliper, these are starting to restrict. So that's more of my issue about them restricting the growth of the crown. And if they never come off, I don't have a good answer, but I do know that we're leaving them on at a point where they might start restricting that growth.
Yeah.
That's
We don't
my-
need an answer tonight, but maybe think about it. And next meeting, we would just give me an answer of what you think would be a good time period, and I can go have highway remove them from the base of the trees that are at, like, say, the 5th year or 4th year, whatever you think would be a good time period.
ask the 2 contractors also and see what they feel like, amount of years. 'Cause I went by the ones we did at the cemetery day on Richards Avenue.
Yes,
Those trees are like just exploded with
Yes.
growth.
Look where they're
Unbelievable.
planted.
great.
It's good soil. It's good, rich soil.
Yeah, and they must be watering them because I've never seen a
Appreciate it.
planting do so well.
Yeah. They're doing really well.
And
They've got
when was
big-
that? We did it, I believe it was 2016 already.
Yeah, I mean, those things are getting huge. They look
Those
great.
things are like 7 years old.
Yeah,
Well, it shows you the difference about planting in an open field versus planting in medians.
yeah.
So you look at the discussion about should I put something in a snow shelf or in the lawn, outside of the sidewalk, that's a good discussion to have.
Yeah, we stepped those back deliberately from the wires and they have plenty of room, but boy, they're growing like mad.
They are, and all of them are alive. I haven't seen any.
Yeah,
dead.
everyone's alive. I think at the very onset, we had one that got replaced.
Hmm. But the cemetery crew was really good about in the beginning, making sure that they were well taken care of and they were watered, et cetera. So
Yeah, they did a good job
job.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
And speaking of that too, you just mentioned trees dying. I've been in touch with Olmsted too, and had contact with them about starting to do replacement trees too. Some of the ones on MLK needed to be replaced, and there were some other ones that I had gotten feedback that had died in the one-offs, and I've asked them to start doing some of those replacements as well.
Oh, good. Yeah, if they're gonna replace them, we want to do it before it gets too hot.
Yes.
You find because of last year's heat and drought that you lost a number of trees? Last summer's heat and drought?
There's some of them, yeah, down on Martin Luther King Boulevard, where we had planted some of them, we lost several of them, and then there was some over at 15 Madison, where we had done some of the arborvitae trees there too. And it had to do with the basically the weather and the drought, and also the contractor was responsible for the watering, and at that point they didn't water them enough, which is hard to keep up with that drought.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if we
that
go
was
back,
tough.
we go back to restrictions for a little bit, because we're kind of talking about the same thing, when you take things off. I did happen to walk from the Sono station, train station to the office a couple weeks ago. And I walked past the Sono collections, and those trees are completely being girdled by the guy wires. I know it's not necessarily a city tree, but it's a city street.
No, okay, we can mention it to them.
Mentioned they need to come off. I mean, I was looking for photos. You saw me looking down on the phone. When I find the photos, it's obnoxious. It's obscene the way these have been left on.
Those are the maples right along the road?
Yes, first of all, those maples are low branch anyway. They should never been on the street. That's
Yeah, they did need to look.
that's my
them up.
story. And I'm sticking to it. But
Yeah.
the guy wires are embedded within the root bark. They're starting to become dead. They're beyond damaging. They are damaging now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they need to get them off.
Okay, we can let them all know about that.
While we're on it and we're on other business, because it ties into that, I was on Washington the other day, and I've been kind of watching one of the Redmond linden right in the center of the block. It's been struggling, and this year it gave up. Probably as a
Okay.
result from the drought last year. So I don't know if I'm pretty sure Gary did all those.
Yes.
initially.
That's
Those trees are really important down there. So there's one in the middle of the block. I didn't get the building number, but it's one with no leaves on it. It's got flexi pave around it, so that's gonna have to be chipped out and then temporarily mulched to make sure the new tree grabs. I know it's not under warranty, but we
It's gotta-
definitely want to get that replaced.
got to get
Yeah,
done.
we'll talk about getting that one replaced too. Then I'll add that to the list for this year. And then just Gay, just so you're aware too, what we've done with those down in Washington Street. We took the old Bradford pears out and put these new Redmond American lindens in. And what we were doing is we were doing flexi paves instead of the grates that grow the girdle of trees and then end up heaving up on the sidewalk. So with the flexi pave, it's a pervious surface that allows water to get in, but yet someone could go over it and walk and not trip or fall, or someone could actually go over it with a wheelchair, and it would allow them to basically transverse over that area without having any kind of an issue like you would normally have with a tree pit. So that stuff is not very cheap though. The flexi pave is about $35 a square foot. So what we usually do is we put the tree in and we make sure that it lasts at least a year before we'll go back and then do the flexi pave.
So Paul, point is, I've had trouble finding American Redmond linden this year. Cannot use, so my fear is the contractor is going to go back and say, I can't get them. Can I use a little leaf? The answer is absolutely not.
No, it's gotta match.
It's got to match. Little leaves are too
Gotta
dense
match.
branch or too low branching, not appropriate for that street. But I just
Yeah.
I want to point that out. You can't, it's so easy for them to say, this is what I can get. We have to hold on this one because they've got to match the other one.
Yeah, it's gotta be a Redmond.
I don't
And
know,
you probably
definitely.
need to go the next size up, having pruned those trees 3 years in a row so that the branch canopy is higher. So probably the contract calls for 2.5 inch caliper. You probably got to go to 3.5 to get the proper canopy height for a sidewalk.
With the roof. with the roof
Okay.
off. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a problem to go up.
Okay, yeah, no, that way there they match and it matches a little more uniformly than having a small
Yeah,
tree.
because the other ones have put growth on, correct.
I've
It's gonna
also
cost
noticed,
a little more than the regular contract price, but I think that's a really important location.
yeah, definitely. And I've also got another branch that I've got to have operations take care of. I got a picture about a week ago from Tom Arbron, saying that I guess there was another branch on one of them that was broken off partway. So I've got to have, and it was made safe, so it's not going to do anything, but it wasn't pruned properly. So I've got to have him go back and prune it properly.
Richard, is there anything, do we need to limb those up at all? Are there?
I've limbed them up, three different years. I limbed them up.
Okay, good. I haven't been down there in a while.
Yeah, the ones that are alive are doing great, and now they're getting to be good size.
No, they're a good street tree for that street.
Yeah, and I've been keeping an eye on them. I kind of like adopted that batch of trees, so. If
Thank
that one needs a little pruning or something, Paul, send me that and I'll probably go out there and do that.
It's just basically doing a actual true professional prune on the one branch versus it being partially broken off.
Yeah, I think some of the storefront owners and restaurant patrons were hanging on low branches initially.
Yes.
And now I think they're up high enough where, you know, they're not bothering them anymore, but maybe one got broken. I'll be more than happy to fix it.
Yeah, and there's one down near the jewelry store that keeps getting hit too. We replaced that one twice, but someone keeps backing into it on a Friday night, it looks like.
Might be too close to a parking spot.
Is there any story about, I'll take a look, and maybe there's a story about how they went in low and how the city is actually pruning them up. It's the issue of how do we manage trees for, maybe there's a little story about that in the PR stuff. I don't know. You know, it's public.
Yeah,
out-
definitely. And it goes hand in hand with the reason we were doing the work over at the Arbor Day cleanup event too, that it's forest management, not just all planting.
It's not about planting, it's about management. And different types in different areas. So I'm not volunteering because the spring has been extremely difficult to do anything.
If we could get anything out of you, Peter, the biggest thing that would be helpful is getting the plan for the corners on Connecticut Avenue, because I'll have to get that approved by DOT. And once we get that approved, we can plant it. And everybody was on board and thought it was a good idea, including the mayor when I talked with him.
It's
No,
important.
we need you to volunteer too. You can't get off that easy.
No, I don't mind. It's just this particular spring has been exceedingly busy. Which is good.
Well, it was wicked dry up till last Saturday. I think I know over by me, I got like 3.5 inches of rain. I was like, oh my gosh, too much all at once, but we needed it. Okay, anything else on other business? Anthony, thanks for joining us. Have you had any experience with the that hydrogel with plantings?
You know, I've never got those done yet. We did use gator bags a lot. I like them. I've never used the other ones. I don't know if he made his own or not, but I know the gator bags. I've used them for the past 8 years and they've been good. And the thing is, with the other ones, how would you know there's water in it and how do you fill them? At least the gator bags, you just pull up to it. You know, if it's not full, put the hose in it, fill it to the top, keep it moving. So I just think practicality of it and the easy access to do the maintenance of the trees for the next 2 or 3 years, whatever that is, it's easier doing the other stuff that's what's there already than the other one. Is my eyes.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we get a Minuteman to, like you said, Paul, come to a meeting and tell them we're really impressed and interested. We just need to learn more on it.
Yeah, okay. That's why I figured I'd bring it up tonight so that we could see what everybody thought about it, and then we'll invite them to another meeting. One other thing that I wanted to mention that Erica was going to mention tonight too, as a side topic, and she wanted to see if we could get everybody together next month. And right now the Common Council is doing hybrid meetings where they meet in the council chambers. Most of the council members that can come are there. Next month, she wanted to see if we could come to City Hall for the meeting, again, to get everybody together and meet up in the DPW conference room like we used to do for a month at least. Still have the same Zoom meeting and YouTube video, but it would just be the group of people together in the same room at the same time, which we are allowed to do at this point.
Can she bring the Chick-fil-A if we? do?
Yeah, yeah, like she used to bring the cider in October.
Yeah, we gotta tell her we agreed to get together with one stipulation. She's gotta feed everybody.
I don't think that's a problem. I think she kind of had something in mind along those lines too, and we'll keep you guys
Right.
posted, but we just wanted to, for the official meeting, maybe we'll try and get together in the office at DPW next month.
That's what she gets for letting me run the meeting, so she's gotta bring the Chick-fil-A. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, we'll adjourn. Thank you, everybody, and everybody have a great, safe Memorial Day. Enjoy the holiday weekend.
And Gay, really good to see you.
Same you.
Yeah,
Good to see you
likewise,
too,
Jay.
Peter,
Great
as
seeing you.
well.
It's like you never left.
Ah, I'm excited about this. It's good to see all of you again. I'm really
Yeah.
happy about it.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome
you.
back. Happy Memorial Day.
Thank you to you too.
All right.
Thank
bye,
you.
everyone.
Take
Have a
care.
good night.
Good
Good night.
Good night, everyone.